Hey, this is another great video by Ricky Kimberly Cichlids. In this video, what we're going to be doing is changing out the filtration in this peacock cichlid growout tank. It's got two sponge filters right now, and we're going to be changing it out to a Matten filter. Now, I'd like to go over some of the reasons why I'm using sponge filtration and Matten Filter filtration. Some people may not know that. In the past, I've had canister filters and sump filters. I've had a lot of issues, and hang on the back filters. And the issues I've had is that I would be at work or at sleep, the power would go out. As far as the hang on the back filters, a lot of those would not start back up. So sometimes I would get up in the middle of the night to check to see which ones didn't start back up to get them primed again. That was a pain. Even ones that they said would not be an issue, the ones that were supposed to be self-priming, some of those actually stopped after a power outage. So I was a little bit tired of that. And as far as canister filtration, sometimes, occasionally, one would not start back up. But the biggest thing, and this goes for all the major brands of the canister filtration that's in the industry, I've had most of them, the major ones. And what happened was the power would go out, the seal would be good in the canister while the water is running, but when they have back pressure on it from the aquarium where it was running down, there would actually be a leak. So it wouldn't leak when the filter was running, but when the power turned off, it actually caused a leak. So I got in the habit of having to run around in the middle of the night when I was asleep to check the canisters if there was a power outage. That was very stressful and very disappointing that I was having to do that. And the reason I had to do that, every single type of brand that there's out there that's major had this issue happen over the years. So I was kind of paranoid about it. So those are two. You're looking at your hang on the back filters, power outage problems, your canister filters, power outage problems, and then your sump filters. Now sometimes if you measure it right, there was not a problem with the sump filters as far as from power outages if you measure it correctly, but you'd always have to add water back to the sump. It seemed like it caused more evaporation than just from your tank, because the water is flowing over the media kind of through the air and it evaporated quicker. So if you went on vacation, you had to time it, the water level perfectly to make sure there's enough water in there while you were gone. It was kind of a hassle. You know, not everybody has someone to watch your aquariums and so forth for you. So you put a certain amount of food or vacation food, and so you had to time it, you know, with what water you had to put in the sump. So it was kind of an added burden. You had to put water weekly into the sump, and that was kind of a pain. I don't like having to do that. And if you had to do that multiple aquariums, it became a hassle. So in my great experience with air pumps, even though they can create some noise, I've never had them after a power outage not come back on. Now it's possible that could happen. I just never had it happen to myself. That's a good thing. They always turn right back on, and they got the filter going. I didn't have, you know, I wasn't as worried about checking out everything during the night. If a power outage happened, I knew it'd start back up, no problems. So as far as for sponge filters and Matten filters, if you're using, you can use a power filter for a Matten filter, but I'm going to use air, so I have less to worry about. So I'm recently been really excited about the Matten filters because there's more surface area. They look really good. They actually take up less room in the aquarium, which I'll show you here in just a minute. How it's going to take less room in this growout aquarium. And actually, some sponge filters, the bubbles are going up, and they don't really create a flow through the aquarium. With the way I'm going to be doing the Matten filters, there's going to actually be some flow in the aquarium. It's going to keep the temperature better. The filtration is a little bit better than your average sponge filter, and you don't have to clean them as often. A lot of times I'm going to put them on the back or on the side, and it looks a lot better. You don't even have hoses from your intakes and your returns. It looks really good. Now your returns are going to be, I'll show you throughout the video here how the returns are going to be coming back in. So this is pretty exciting. Changing this over to a Matten filtration, I just wanted you to know some of the reasons why I went from all those other types of filtration to sponge and Matten filtration. I'm really excited about Matten filtration, and this way you can do it, and it's pretty easy and cheap. So let me show you some more details. So you see here the growout aquarium. Now it's not usually this dirty inside because I've just cleaned off a lot of algae, but it's been a week since I've had a water change. I'm waiting to do a water change after this Matten filter install, so you can see it after a water change, because when I do the actual install, I'll be stirring up a lot of things. I'll be taking out 2 sponge filters, moving some rocks around, and so forth. Now if we go to the side, you see how much room this sponge filter here is taking up, and there's a sponge filter back here, and it's taking up a lot of surface area this way in the aquarium, where the Matten filter is only going to be right here back, and it's going to have more room for the fish and plants and so forth. And if you see how the bubbles go up, there's not really a lot of flow throughout the aquarium this way, which the Matten filter is going to have flow this way. So I want to show you the package that the Matten filters come in, the actual sponge, and I'll show you how to install them. Now I was actually almost as excited as the first time I got the foam filter, the sponge for the Matten filter, the second time. And this time there's actually 2 in here. Let me open it up for you. The camera's a little bit close, but I'll get it opened up here and show you. It's kind of condensed for packaging. I'll be leaving a link in the description where you can get this from. There's 2 in here. If you see here, there's 2 here. One set here and one set here. I'll be pulling it out. Now, this is only half of it. You get the tape here and pull it apart. So, quite big. So if you look at this aquarium here, this is going to take care of the Matten filtration for this aquarium. And this foam for the Matten filter only costs $12. And I will be leaving a link in the description for it. It is for aquarium use. Let me see if you can see it. Aquarium filters. It's supposed to be great for biological filtration, and it will do mechanical filtration. And I'll show you how good of a flow it actually has just by using your air pumps. Many people have air pumps that they've used or may have not used, quit using. You may want to use them again if you've quit using them, because this is a cheap way to have pretty good flow and some awesome filtration. So I'll show you how to do this filter setup. I'm going to use 2 sponge filters, not these. 2 sponge filters, the parts of them to get this going. So let me get to that. So if you see here, I've measured where I'm going to put the outlets with a yardstick. And all I'm going to be using is a utility knife to get this job completed. Now I use a egg crate to have the foam on to cut into. That way I'm not cutting into carpet. You can do it on your table, but when you're using your utility knife, make sure you're not cutting into carpet or your table. So be very careful with that. So I wanted to have each of them 5 inches from the side. That way the flow is a little bit more even throughout the aquarium. So let me go ahead and start. I'll do one, and then we'll show you how it is when it's set up. You do one side first, then the other side. As far as on each side of the outlet. Then you cut out a little chunk. You pull back on it. And then once it started where there's a seam, you can actually pull it apart pretty good. So that one is done. Now let me show you what I'm going to be doing. This is a kind of a new design I've done since the last one I did. This doesn't come all the way through the sponge. So what I've done is I got some intake tubing that I was no longer using that I had cut off to have it correctly for the aquarium I was using it. So I had it laying around. You may have some laying around in your house if you have a lot of aquarium supplies, but it fits both types of sponge filters, this one as well as the last one I used. So I guess I'm going to have it stuck in there, and I'll have it trimmed off right around here. And I'm going to be using a hose cutter to cut that off, and I'll do that and show you how it is set up and ready to go, and then we'll have it installed. Now how I do the hose cutter is I put it in the jaws of the hose cutter, and then I just turn the tubing back and then push down with the grips, and I turn it back and forth, and boom, there we go. So I'll take this piece and measure it with for the next piece, so they'll both be the same size and look uniform. So I'll measure it to this one and do this one. So I'll show you that one now. So what I do, I get it right here and I turn it back so there's a groove forming, and just keep on turning it, and then slowly, there, boom, comes off. So now you have a piece for this one, and then you have the piece for this one. So I may have to push one in a little bit more than the other one to get them lined up, evened out. They fit good. So I'll get this chunk taken out right here for this one. I'll make sure it is the 5 inches, and then you'll see me install it. What I'll do is on the bottom of the foam you see here, I don't know if you see it, hopefully you do, you want to have most of the sand gone and fit it against the aquarium, and then you can put some rocks here to keep this steady, and then put some sand on the front of it. But you don't really want sand under it. You want it to be a flat surface here on the bottom of the foam. So here we go. Now I do want to show you that I do use the hot magnums after doing a water change, after the water is filled back up, because there's still a lot of debris that was disturbed during a water change. Plus, you know, when I installed the Matten filter, I moved around rocks, plants, sand, just a lot of stuff. So I used my hot magnums to get the water clearing up, and I'll show you how the install looks in just a second. If you look here, we're getting a straight on shot of the aquarium, and don't look at all the gorgeous looking fish in there. Look at the top of the water and look at that flow going on the left and the right. So if you look over to the left, you see the good flow. If you look over to the right, you see good flow. The water quality is looking really good. Now I do have the heater outside the Matten filter because it could potentially melt the foam filtration pad. So I'm being precautionary and keeping the heater outside of that. But you don't see any intake hoses. You don't see any hoses at all. So it's looking really sleek. You don't have to use a background. It's black. It's looking really good. I'm liking it a lot better than the sponge filtration. It's going to do a better job. I'm really excited. So let's take another view. Take a look at another view of the outlets from the back. So this is the top of the aquarium. There's a little bit of a bow right here, but that's fine. This foam is really sturdy. It's not going to hurt it long term. I don't want to trim over here or over here because the filtration would be a little bit affected. You look at that flow coming from there. That's tremendous flow, and you see the flow on this side. That's all air driven. You're not having the pop of the sponge filters anymore. Now these sponge filters that I was using had it available so you could have a flow from them, but a lot of times the suction cups would fail and the sponge filter would float to the top of the water. So this method, it's secure and looking good. Now the hoses will be pushed back when the hood's back on it completely. I do have the heater out of it because the heater can melt some of this foam, so I don't have the heater behind it. So let's look at a side view. Let me get it focused in here. A little bit out against the glass, but look at there. That it looks a lot less room than the sponge filters were taking up. Looking good from this angle. And what I like about it is, look there, you don't have to have a background. It's black. So let's take a moment to look at some of these fish real quick before we end this video. So let's take a moment to look at some of these fish in here. Look at that one. That one's a little bit more orange than some of the other ones. It's a male colored up. Looking really good. There's another one coloring up there. That may be the same one. Couple there. Just want to give you a small glimpse of some of the great looking fish in here. They're all looking great. There's an icebreaker type. It's looking really smooth looking. Looking really good. That one's really got a lot of potential. So what I feed these peacock cichlids in this aquarium is artificial crab meat once every other day. The waste in the aquarium is reduced by a lot. Very excited about that prospect of my feeding. Now I've improved the filtration in this aquarium with the Matten filter. I'm excited. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. Drop a comment. Subscribe to Ricky Kennerly Cichlids, where fish swim. Thanks for watching. Till next time.